I'm often asked by aspiring writers, what is my process when writing fantasy novels like the Ever Hero Saga? And so I thought I would put together a series of videos that kind of get into what I do, the steps I take to craft a book, and then maybe give you some ideas on some softwares that you might want to try that help in the process of producing a full-length novel. So, first video will be, what do I do to get started? Well, first, I just think about what would be a really cool idea for a story. And when I say cool idea, I'm thinking more of like the crucial scene in the story where the hero fulfills his mission. Whatever that mission is. Doesn't necessarily mean slaying the beast. It could mean his moment of revelation on what he needs to achieve, or where he needs to go, or what needs to happen for him to grow. And so when I have that done and I've crafted a scene around him, I start thinking, okay, well, who are the villains? Who are the people that are going to try to get him off of that track? Or, who's maybe a love interest for the heroine that really wants something different than what she wants. Whatever the conflict is between the hero and the villain, that's what I start to focus on. So then it comes, okay, how do I craft 25 chapters, maybe 27 if you bookend them with a prologue and an epilogue? How do I craft all of those words into something that makes sense? Okay, so what I do is I start to block things out, similar to when I make paintings, in really big brushstrokes, just to get the main ideas down. I'm often on my phone doing stuff like taking notes and saying, oh, this is a cool idea, or this could happen to one of the characters, or they meet this character and this is what they do later on. And I start to plot. And it's all very, very rough, and it's probably 10 to 20 pages in a Word document of just various ideas that I think would be interesting for this storyline that's evolving. So then I will start saying, okay, I want 25 chapters. What's going to happen in each chapter that's going to move the story along so that the readers stay engaged? So I lay out 25 chapters on a Word document, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, etc. And then I start to put in all those notes that I had written down before. Now, some of them won't work in the storyline. Some of them will be real important to the storyline. But when I see just snippets in each chapter of what's happening, I can then deduce, okay, I've got a story here. Or if this happens here, and then this happens here, now I have a giant plot hole here. So that's no good. So this gives me a really great way to figure out what needs to change, maybe move something from chapter 1 down to chapter 3, or chapter 20 up to chapter 1. Or it gives me real good insight as to what are the Easter eggs that I need to put into the 25 chapters so that everything makes sense as you step through. So when I have all of that put down, then I start to flesh out the crucial scene for that chapter. And every scene must have conflict. If there's no conflict, there's a boring story. It's just, somebody's walking down the street and they see a bird and then the bird flies away. No conflict. Unless the bird had the key that opened the treasure that was going to save somebody. Then it's important. But you see, there's got to be some of that conflict. So once I have those 25 chapters and the crucial scenes, I take another look at it and I say, okay, does this still make sense? Is everything lining up? If I say yes, which I never do, it's always going back and refining. But when I get to a place where everything is making sense, then I go back and I start to flesh out each chapter. And I shoot for anywhere from 8 to 12 pages per chapter. that to me seems like it's a good amount of space to tell whatever story needs to happen in that chapter, and gives plenty of room for other character interactions. Once I have all of that done for all 25 chapters and prologue, epilogue, etc., then I read through it, and I'm looking for errors, I'm looking for plot holes. I'll use softwares like Plotter, I'll use AutoCrit, these are great ways to be able to load in your story and then be able to look at it chapter by chapter by scrolling through. It's real helpful. And AutoCrit gives you a summary of what's happening in every chapter, so it makes it very clear to understand how the progression of the story is happening. Once I have all that done, then it goes to my editor, and she will rip it apart. She'll start asking me questions about, hey, this doesn't make sense, or this word, you're not even using the right word here, it should be this, or maybe you should think instead of the main characters having this attitude, maybe at this point they really have this attitude. And what's important about that is now I'm getting somebody else's opinion on what's happening, okay? From there, once I have that done, then it'll go to my beta readers, and they will start to pick it apart as well. Some beta readers really get into the story, and they start making suggestions of what needs to happen next, or what should happen next, or what doesn't make sense. Some beta readers simply say, hey, good chapter, very exciting, I like the pace. Everyone has a different input, which is important. Once that is done, I go through, I make all the corrections that I need to make, and then I read through it again, just to make sure that I haven't missed anything crucial. And then from there, it's all about putting the book together. That'll be another video. Hope that helps.